Welcome to This Week in Missouri Politics from our St. Louis studios. We are joined by not just the senator from the Booto, my senator, Jason Bean. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here.
So you're going to make a little bit of news, right? You elected to the Senate 3 years ago.
Yes.
You've been in Senate leadership for a year, and now you're announcing that in the next session, you're going to run for Majority Floor Leader.
I'm going to run for Majority Floor Leader, absolutely.
Why?
You know, I've really enjoyed this year being in leadership, being part of leadership. You know, I think Senator Laughlin in her role has done really, really well.
Yeah.
You know, she's done a good job by, you know, taking care of issues before it hits the floor. I think she's done a good job, kept the pace going. I want to build on that. You know, I'm a farmer. That's all I've ever known is farming, and that's kind of how I like to run my operation. Get people together, let's get the job done, and I want to build on that. That's what I want to do in the Missouri Senate.
But interesting 3 years. Your first 2 years probably saw, I mean, the most divisive Senate in probably a dozen years before that. And then this year, you've been in leadership for this year. I mean, whatever you think about what was passed, which is kind of subjective to what your politics are personally, the culture of that room was worlds better than it was just a year ago.
Oh, absolutely. I will tell you, my first 2 years, I was kind of scratching my head a little bit.
Yeah, what'd you get into?
Exactly. In fact, one time I said, is it too late for a recount? You know, oh my gosh. But you know, I have really watched us try to work together. Some new people have come into the Missouri Senate. We're working better together. Are we perfect? No, we're not perfect. But I don't think there's probably ever been a Senate or a House that's been perfect. But you know, we're working better together, and I think it's definitely setting the tone for the future.
You know, I thought it was interesting. The last day of session, Senator Rowden stood up, the pro tem, and he said, "I did not vote for Senator Laughlin to be the floor leader." But he said the body knew what they needed. It was a good job. I thought those two worked together, and if there's a parallel to you, it might be someone with the temperance and the management style of a Caleb Brown. The pairing worked once before.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Senator Laughlin and I work good together. You know, she relies on me when you know, she's got to do something outside of the chamber, and I've always, you know, tried to be there, work with her. So yeah, I absolutely want to keep that going together, and hey, let's keep the state moving forward.
When you have this position, I mean, I've always felt like, frankly, especially toward the end of session, it's the most important position in the chamber.
Right.
I mean, you pretty well decide what they're going to go to. What it can't get done unless you entertain the motion, right, or ask for the motion.
Absolutely.
What do you want to see when you have that power? What do you want to do with it?
What I want to see, like I say, I want to move the state forward. You know, there's 24 senators in that body that are Republican. I want to continue to move conservative legislation forward. And like I say, let's keep moving forward. I get sometimes kind of sick and tired of hearing people talk about how bad this state is. I disagree. This is a great state, absolutely fabulous state. Are we perfect? No, we're not perfect. But, you know, I mean, we're sitting here in St. Louis right now. We need to deal with crime in St. Louis, and I think that we did some things that are working.
The state has a role in that?
Well, I think that we saw that the state didn't take a role in that this year, but I think we're ready to make a role in that if we need to.
Does the state have a role in taking over crime in Peach Orchard?
Well, the Highway Patrol certainly does, so I can tell you.
They might have a role in trying to find some, right?
Right.
Let me ask you this. You've brought in, I think the count we had the office, 26 pieces of legislation that you filed is now in Missouri law.
Yes. Since I've been there.
That is that's a pretty good statement to your colleagues. Hey, I know how to get this done. I picked this up quick. I'm getting better at it. I can help you.
You know, when I came into the Missouri Senate, I listened to had some really good people give me some advice. Lieutenant Governor Kehoe gave me some advice. Senator Ron Richards, who unfortunately passed away here a couple weeks ago, and really hated to see that. But they gave me some good advice. You know, come in, learn the Senate, learn the building, learn it. And that's what I tried to do, and make good relationships. And that's one thing I did. And, you know, if I came in as a freshman, never had House experience, and would have stood up on the floor every day, I think that'd been pretty arrogant. Yeah. In my opinion. I don't think that would have been a good thing.
Speaking of arrogant, you mentioned folks that have a problem with the state. The main folks I hear having a problem with the state are members of your party, kind of around those suburbs, right? About from where we're taping this, about an hour's drive. They're very upset and triggered and snowflakish. Then you get out, you know, you get to New Haven, you know, you get down to Farmington. People ain't whining all day. The question I would have for you is, for a long time now, you've had the suburban folks in your caucus. We want this now. Rural folks, kind of the way we are, we'll say, oh, shucks, if you really think so, maybe give them a little bit. But when it came time to pass your Masbata bill, I didn't see any of them.
No.
Are rural people too nice?
You know what? I think they are. But you know what? They've learned to do things without having people do things for them. I think that's one thing to think about. We've always said, hey, if this way look at COVID.
Yeah.
Look at COVID, prime example. We took care of business. And you know what? Our state stayed open. Rural Missouri took care of business.
Yeah, the Vince Lembke policy, I don't think anybody in Butler County is complaining about his handling of COVID.
I don't think so, nor in Carter County. Carter County probably saw more income ever from tourism than they'd seen during COVID.
Terry Faughn decided she would cure COVID by just not letting anybody say it around her. Right. But seriously, moving forward, I do want to get your take on one thing. I went down to the visitation for Ron Richard, an absolute Missouri legend. I know you knew him well.
Absolutely.
As a person that wears that pin that he was so proud of as a state senator, give me your reflections on Ron.
You know what? Just what a true statesman, true individual that just stood strong for Missouri. You know what? He knew his values and he stood behind them. He served with my dad. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah.
But he served in the House with my dad. And you know what? He listened, but he was tough too. And that's something I definitely want to follow in his footsteps. Like I say, moving the state forward is not easy. It's not easy with 34 senators in that chamber. But that's something that I really want to take from him is to keep things moving forward. Be tough when you got to be tough. Be kind when you got to be kind.
It seems to come down anymore too. You have a few senators. Some of them want wildly liberal policy. Some of them want conservative. It depends on the day. Mm-hmm. But if, as a senator, you just can't get your bill passed. I think that's what I thought. To me, it looked like you ran up into some situations where there were some senators in your caucus that wanted pieces of legislation. They just didn't have the support to get passed.
Right.
And you were able to kind of move that ball off, put it off, until you probably couldn't. And then it ended up like last year. Mm-hmm. What do you do if you're the floor leader and somebody just wants to hold the entire Senate up because their piece of legislation doesn't have the support? It's tough.
Scott, I will tell you, I was elected to be a Missouri State Senator. I take that very, very seriously. I represent my district. But the one thing that I've learned is, you know, as a senator, sometimes passing legislation, there is a compromise. That's what you have to do. And if it just isn't right, if the body is not ready, well, you have to accept that. Yep. And I know we saw some senators this year filibuster because basically they didn't get their bill passed. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's what the filibuster is supposed to be, is it? You tell me.
You know, I think filibuster is a lot of things, a lot of people. To me, it's whatever bill's on the floor, you want to hold that up.
Right.
Or if you've got one that you can tie to. But yes, I do think.
Well, that's my point. Now, if I'm going to filibuster a bill, it's because I think it's a piece of legislation that is not good for the state of Missouri, not good for my district. That's what a filibuster, in my opinion, is supposed to be. Not that I don't get my way, so let me go just stop the whole entire progress of the Missouri Senate.
I love the study of Ron Richard and Jay Watson's careers because you really went from, they came in kind of after the term limits class, then you had a short term, then they come in. They really they spanned a big chunk of Missouri. So many things happened in Missouri history during their time in the legislature. It does feel like the Republican mindset at one time was protect business. If you make a good business climate, the state will succeed. Fewer laws, the better. That is not the modern Republican Party. Local control. Local control is a cuss word in the modern Republican Party. Every genius in the state's apparently in Jeff City. Protecting business is nowhere hardly to be found in the Republican Party. And the goal is how many laws can we pass and tell you what to do? It has been a 180 degree. And you have some traditional conservative Reagan Republicans. Then you've got some, I guess, suburban Republicans. And that is how do you avoid that clash of more government versus the rural, less government, less government?
Well, you know, we talked about COVID earlier. Let's look what COVID did for the state. Local control, right?
Yep.
What was right for Butler County was definitely probably not right for St. Louis County. But what happened when local control took over? The state of Missouri flourished.
Yeah.
When other states failed during COVID, we stayed open and look at our economy. It's booming. You know, we talk about a lot about Butler County and Carter County. Go travel that road on 60 right now. Look how many out-of-state vehicles are still on that road. That's because local control. That's because Governor Mike Patterson said, hey, you know, you in Butler County take care of business, you in Carter County take care of business, you in St. Louis, well, whatever you're going to do. And of course, I don't think they did it. But that's something that I think we need to take a hard look at.
Well, look at Vince Lembke. He gets reelected whenever he wants to now. I mean, he handled COVID great. Sam Page, get reelected, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's what the folks wanted. That's who they elected people of a certain ideology for the first place, probably to do what they said they would do and let people carry it. I thought it was one of the best things I've seen done. I think Mike Parson's strategy was the most conservative in the country, far surpassing to say this, and the most successful. And you're right. It's sometimes hard to remind your colleagues of that when they have 80 ideas how to run every other place, except maybe the Missouri Senate.
Well, and I'll go back and say it again. That's where I get frustrated, because a lot of it seems like to me a lot of the urban suburban senators want to talk about how bad the state is. I'm sorry, this is a great state.
If I had to live in a cul-de-sac, I think it's pretty bad too.
There you go. Come down to Dunklin County, spend a little time with me. I'll show you how
Give me
great
the
this
one
state is.
pitch, if you don't mind, to let us in the cloakroom here. Let us in the back room. You're talking to one of your colleagues. Won't mention any names. What is the last thing you asked them to do to consider voting for you for floor leader?
What was the last thing
What's the last thing you said?
Last thing I say is that I believe in the state. I believe in the progress of Missouri. I believe this is a very conservative state, and we want to continue those conservative values, and let's move this state forward.
Well, Senator
together.
Jason B., my senator, thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
We'll be right back with our opinion maker panel. We had Joe Patterson back on here after this.
For more than a century, the St. Louis Carpenters Union has shaped our communities. Through trusted alliances, we deliver skilled professional craftspeople while our business partners provide the kind of quality jobs that keep our economy humming. It's a blueprint that has worked since 1882. Turning Missouri into a right-to-work state stalls progress, wipes out jobs, and kills momentum. Right to work is wrong for everyone. Let's keep Missouri moving forward. Visit carpdc.org to learn more.
All throughout Missouri, businesses are struggling to find workers. Childcare challenges are a big reason why. Our kids are losing out too. Through high-impact early childhood investments, we can support the workforce of today and better prepare our workforce of tomorrow. Empower families with the resources they need to succeed. Reduce crime and avoid costly interventions, saving taxpayers money. Together, we can make Missouri the best place to work, raise a family, and be a kid.
Data captured by our state-of-the-art monitors helps us pinpoint the timing and location of severe weather more accurately and respond to trouble more quickly. Ameren, Missouri's investment in smart technologies like this is one way we're improving reliability and restoring power faster than ever. Responding to trouble before trouble hits. That's energy at work. Ameren, Missouri.
Welcome back to the Week of Missouri Politics. First time on the show, Richard West. Thank you for joining us here in the studio.
Thank you, Scott.
Got to be on your show a couple times, filling in for Kel Brazil.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Well,
Rasheen Aldridge, friend of the show. Now, I'm not going to say this is a promotion. This is an evolution. Now that you're no longer Representative Aldridge, Alderman Aldridge.
Alderman
right?
Aldridge, yes,
Do
sir.
they call those, like in the Senate, by alphabetical order?
They don't actually.
Lucky.
It goes by war number.
Yeah, it's one time that last name A would come back on you.
Yeah, I know. That'd be hurt to be the first vote every time.
The gentleman of the Senate, Jim Lembke, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me. I thought you forgot about me.
I was just talking to the new alderman with his new job. And Joe Patterson, the St. Louis County Police Association, all-around businessman. Let's jump right into how this looks. Rasheen, why are there so many people running for the U.S. Senate for the Democrat nomination?
Yeah.
It just seems like it's not that great of a nomination.
Well, right now we only got two out there, Lucas Kuntz and Wesley Bell. There's a potential, rumors out there that Senator Carla May hop in, and she's a fierce.
It'll be fun.
I would hate to debate her, but I think it's a lot at stake. Between the two senators that we got in the state of Missouri, I don't think that they truly represent fully. It kind of, even though I'm a Democrat, it makes me think how I kind of wish Roy Blunt was still in office, because he actually was reasonable to work
What a giant
with.
of the state, yeah.
Yeah, he was a great person.
Let's look at this though. You've got Lucas Kuntz, who you've supported.
Absolutely.
Dynamic guy.
Yeah.
Good backstory. Raises a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would seem like he would be the kind of person that can compete in a general election, right?
I agree.
You've got last time though Trudy Bush files, and it was almost predictable. Why would he be able to beat Wesley Bell?
I think, for me, Lucas he's what this Democratic Party needs. He can really excite people. The way that he talks about the issues, it makes you get fired up.
He's good.
He's really good. And I think, Wesley Bell's going to be a great candidate, but Lucas has really put in the groundwork. He's went to a lot of these counties. He's talked to the people. I think he understands the Democratic issues that potentially could win the state.
Now, what if Carla May files? Can you feel me?
Oh, man, that's going to be a battle, but, I'm sticking with Lucas.
Jim Lembke, you've watched a lot of these. I kind of feel like this. Josh Hawley intentionally does things to tick off folks that live in his district. And it's very good for him to have those folks ticked off at him. So around the country, there's folks like that hated Lindsey Graham. There's a lot of money to run against Josh Hawley, even if they won't win. Is that what draws folks out? Is, okay, we'll get this nomination, I'm going to be exposed to every major Democrat Party donor, and I can really boost myself up? I mean, what do you think folks actually think they could beat Josh Hawley?
Here's the fact of the matter. Missouri is becoming more and more a red state. Trump is going to win the state again by 20 points. All right. So, I don't think it makes a difference who the Democrat nominee is. Now, with that said, and we'll touch upon it on a couple other issues, we don't govern like a big red state. We actually govern center left. And so I think the dynamics of this election is Josh Hawley's going to walk away with it. But we still have some things we need to address as far as how we're governing in this state if we are going to be a big red state.
Your political career is covered when this state was you probably were active in politics when it was a moderate bluish transitioning. During your time in politics, went from very much a toss-up state to now today is a very Republican state. It does sort of feel like, by the same metrics you would use to chart all of those different places, maybe they've reached the limits of the Republicans of how many votes they can get, which is a very lot.
Right.
But maybe they're on the edge of that. There's probably not a lot bigger the party can get.
Exactly. I think the point is we've got enough Republicans. What I've been working on the last couple of cycles is electing the right Republicans.
Like Richard West, I assume.
Yep.
So tell me, Josh Hawley, I mean, the guy's popular with the folks in this state.
He's very popular.
There's a lot of folks that want to see you on Fox News every night. They want to see you talking about Facebook or whatever. I don't see him getting beat.
No, I see a very interesting race, though. I think it'll be fun to watch because I pretty much know what the outcome is going to be. But so it'll be entertaining for me. Yeah, I think it'll be without a doubt Josh Hawley.
Who does the Republicans not want to see? Joe Patterson?
I think Lucas Kunce is the right candidate for the Democrats, but I'm saying that as a guy that's right of center. So I think that my concern for my friends in the Democratic Party is this showing a fissure or fracture in the cohesiveness of the Democratic Party. Wesley Bell comes out, and a lot of folks that were really excited about Lucas did not do what the Alderman did here. They didn't stick with him. They saw an African-American male progressive prosecutor from an urban area, and they said, I don't like Lucas so much anymore. So, I mean, can the Democrats unite behind a candidate? I don't know. At the end of the day, I agree with my two friends here that it doesn't matter. Josh Hawley's unbeatable. The Missouri voters are sending him back to D.C.
I don't know that anybody will watch any clips from the debate if it's Hawley, Kunce, or if it's Hawley, even Bell, although I've not seen Wesley Bell in a debate. I don't know what that'd be like. I can tell you that many people will watch the clips of Carla May, Josh Hawley. That will be something that you watch, you find on the internet, and you watch those. Viral, probably.
Yeah, it would be entertaining because, like I say, Carla's a tough cookie. A senator, a committee woman, and funny.
And she'll just whip out a Bible verse on
you.
you.
She will go scripture on you real quick.
I love to listen to her on the Senate floor.
Let's talk about somebody you're trying to take from the Senate floor of the governor's mansion, Bill Eigel.
Yes.
Talk about the campaign. Explain this campaign to somebody watching this and saying, he's going to drop out of this race, he's going to go to a small race.
It's interesting. We hear it every day. You're just positioning yourself to run for lieutenant governor. Well, that's not the case. Bill Eigel's running for governor, and if he doesn't run for governor, he's going to buy a boat. So, he's got no other plans. And the race is going very well. His message is being very well received. He's put 25,000 miles on his truck over the last 7 months.
I mean, I've watched it online when he speaks. I mean, it is a very, very well-ran campaign.
The best thing for us is that the Jeff City Swamp doesn't want Bill Eigel, and they don't think that Bill Eigel can win this race. So they're looking at Mike Kehoe and Jay Ashcroft, and those two are going to start firing at each other, and Bill Eigel's going to go right up the right flank.
Yep. The thing I always tell people if they say, is he going to run again? Is he going to run for governor? It's like, well, he says so. Makes sense. Bill's different. He could walk away. But the thing I say is the front runner of the race is Jay Ashcroft. I mean, you could say it's name ID. I'm sure that's probably most of it. But it is what it is. He attacks the front runner. If you were going to drop out of this race, you would not attack the front runner.
Right. And all the metrics that we've set for the race, we're just pushing right by. So,
Joe Patterson, this state folks love cops.
They do, and cops love
Kehoe.
Love Lieutenant Governor Kehoe. One of the candidates, along with Senator Schmidt, we early endorsed before anybody else even decided to get in. My only concern for the race is when we talk about the Ashcroft dynamic, is it's a household name in Missouri. I kind of think about it, look at a Chris Koster-esque situation where all the endorsements and all the infrastructure sets up behind a candidate.
I thought that too. I thought that was the trap that Mike Kehoe could easily fall into. Then I saw his first ad against Jay Ashcroft. It was on foreign-owned land. It was
strong.
It was like a lot of ads. There's really no truth to it, but it showed he was in the fight. He was not just going to do some front porch campaign. It shows he's going to step up and punch somebody. I think that ad and the veracity of it, and maybe the extent from the truth it was very good for that campaign. Showed he's here to throw.
It's strong.
Tell me, you're the last person to knock doors here.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Rasheen has in a Republican primary. Tell me where the race is now.
Well, I think Missourians, Republicans, are frustrated that the legislature in the House and Senate has not been getting done what they want to get done. And I think when you look
Help me understand that. There's no abortions. Toddler can buy an Uzi. Taxes have been cut by record amounts. What are the?
Those are the red
bill
meat.
about not letting
Those are the red
trans
meat things,
athletes play girl sports. What has not gotten done?
Well, there's a lot of other things that maybe not. Okay, so there are things we need to deal with: initiative petition, sports betting. These are things that need to be dealt with, whether it's for or against. They need to be settled because Missourians. There's a lot of center Missourians that are not happy these things are not getting done.
Yeah.
So I think when they reach out, I think they're going to reach out for a change, and I think that change is Bill Eigel because Bill has been working hard. Bill stands up for his values, and it seems the status quo.
Good on the stump.
He is good on the stump. And the problem is the status quo right now
out in
is
the
not
Senate.
getting it done.
Tell me right now, Democrats, okay, uphill fight, no matter how you slice it, against all three candidates.
Absolutely.
But you have a person that I think has got kind of a special talent. And it makes sense for her to do this race. Tell folks, you've served with Crystal Quade. Tell folks about her.
Absolutely. You know what also cracks me up is when folks say that we haven't got much done in the legislature, and it's super controlled by Republicans on both aisles, and I think that's the problem. And Crystal Quade, who's a minority floor leader, has been there for the last 6 years, probably the longest minority floor leader in a long time. You know, she's dynamic. She's a woman. She speaks out on these issues, but she don't just talk the talk. She walks the walk. She's been to a lot of counties. She's willing to meet people. She's willing to put in the work. She has been putting in the work, and she doesn't just think about herself.
That operation of the House Democrats was, it's much better today.
Absolutely.
After 5 years of her.
Absolutely.
On every level, it's a better operation.
It is, and she's been, the leader that's really set up a system in place for even when she leaves. She's been out recruiting new Democrats. She's all in, and I'm excited.
And even though you left her high and dry to go to the city, but
until we change dynamics, I think I could be.
Well, at least you're the majority now.
I know, it feels so good.
Is it called the majority if there's no minority?
I don't know, but it feels good.
Joe Paz, let's talk about an issue the folks in Jeff City were discussing, maybe taking some things off of the new alderman's plate and putting the St. Louis Police Department back under state control. Give me the argument for that. Explain that to a person in Dexter that has no idea why the state should control the Dexter Police Department.
Sure. So we have an antiquated system to where Kansas City PD and St. Louis Metropolitan PD were under state control. This goes back to
the Civil War.
Civil War. It's a secessionist-leaning governor said, you know what, I'm going to take power of two small armies so that they can't fight each other, and because the demographics and the politics were different in those two cities. But it worked for a long time. And then the argument, 10 or so years ago to get back under city control is here's the deal. Mayor Slay wanted to control the police department. The police association wanted a collective bargaining agreement. That was the horse trade, period, the end. It hasn't worked. Funding for the police department is not being used effectively. Mayor Jones has cut money. It's effectively defunded the police department. Crime is skyrocketing. You're missing 250 law enforcement officers just in the St. Louis metro area. Mass shootings are now an everyday occurrence. Downtown is nearly lawless. There's a problem, and what the status quo is not working. So this is a situation I think we're throwing the baby and the bathwater out might be the best solution.
No, I thought when they got rid of Kim Gardner, that was going to fix that, right?
I think that's a part of it, and I do gotta, I love my bud down there, but check some of the rhetoric. We can't forget that Kansas City's under state control, and they still have issues out there. The mayor has actually worked with the police association to pass one of the biggest police raises for in their contract. And I serve on budget, and I served on in the House, and now I'm back on in the city. We have a lot of money that we've allocated to our police department. We haven't cut any, but the reality is it's going to take an approach from Jeff City. I mean, there's not one person that want to make sure that these young people that are running around the city of St. Louis have guns. But the gun laws are so lax that, like you say, a 16-year-old can easily just purchase a gun. That's not a local thing. We're trying it, but we know we'll get sued on the state level if we try to make it not harder to take guns from people, but harder to make sure that guns are in the hands of folks that shouldn't have it.
Go ahead.
I would say that the bottom line is that every political subdivision in the state is a creature of the state. All right, and even though we delegate local responsibility, when they don't fulfill in protecting the rights of the citizens and keeping them safe, it is the state's role to come in and take control. And happened with this, with the school district in city of St. Louis. All right, I stopped this local control from happening the entire time that I was in the legislature because I knew this was what the outcome would be. We have to have investment in protecting the citizens of St. Louis City, and if it's not going to come from the city, it's got to come from the state.
I walked into the Capitol with Mark Richardson under a Democrat majority. What if the Democrat majority said, Wentzville, you're not protecting the Planned Parenthood clinic. We're taking your police department over.
Well, that's just one specific thing, the Planned Parenthood. I'll tell you, my mother was a police officer in St. Louis City. I work for St. Louis City Police Department, and the problem is now that it's not just affecting St. Louis City, it's affecting the whole eastern side of the state.
So Dave Marshak will tell you.
Well, I'll tell you too, I was in police work for 25 plus years, and in St. Charles, in my area, we'll talk about my area right now, the crime out there has definitely risen because of the lack of enforcement in St. Louis City and St. Louis County.
Can't let you go, Senator Lembke. We talked before. The primaries this time. Now the Senate, which way it moves and shifts, it can be a very different world in 2 years from now.
Yes, I think that in the 24 open seats, you've got 3 conservative caucus members that are leaving. The way those seats are stacking up, it looks like the people that are getting into those races, they're going to be pretty much the same type of ideology as those leaving. And then you have the seat in Columbia that's actually going to go to the Democrats because of redistricting. We've got this Rizzo seat over in the Kansas City side, that leaning Republican now. So not much is going to change in 24, but 26 is the dynamic's going to make a difference because you have 6 people that are on kind of the left side of our Republican supermajority in the Senate, and they're all being term limited out.
We're going to be left out of time, Joe Patterson, so who won the week?
Senator Josh Hawley, he's staying in D.C. He might as well put that new kitchen remodel at his house down there. Might as well start paying for it now because he's going to get a lot of good use out of it.
Who won the week?
I'm going to say Representative Doug Ritchie. He had a fabulous kickoff to his Senate campaign.
Who won the week?
I'm gonna say give some love to the west side of the state, Mayor Quinn Lucas. He won big in the election. I think the people of Kansas City are excited what he's doing. He's doing some great stuff.
And Wes Rogers won a squeaker.
He did. Wes Rogers.
2 people that came on this show that went from rep to alderman.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Jay Ashcroft for pulling us out of Eric.
There you go. I've heard that from somewhere. I can't remember. I'm going to say the family of Ron Richard. Ron Richard didn't even call me by my name most of the time that I knew him. But the fact is, I'm a Southeast Missouri guy. I grew to love him and respect him because he loved the state of Missouri. Wherever you think of Ron, whatever fight you have with Ron, wherever you go in the state of Missouri, if your name's related to Ron Richard, you're going to find somebody in the state that respects you. What a life lived. We'll be back here not next week, not the week after. A little break, a little fishing. 3 weeks from now for This Week in Missouri Politics.
This Week in Missouri Politics is sponsored by the Missouri Automobile Dealers Association, Ameren, Spire, and the United Electric Cooperative.